Okay, so again, thanks. Hi.
This is Claudia.
Hi, Claudia. My name's Daniel.
Hi, Daniel.
Thanks for coming. So I've retired about 3 years ago, and one of my hobbies is to travel. And since it's very expensive to travel to Europe or Vietnam or Asia, which I've done in the past, I like to go on little day trips, road trips in Indiana and explore Indiana, especially southern Indiana. A few months ago, I did a presentation on public art in southern Indiana and got a lot of positive feedback on that. And so I approached Harriet, Harriet's in the back there, to ask her if there might be any interest in my doing a presentation about my travels. I enjoy photography and I like sharing photos that I've taken. So Harriet said that there'd be interest in that, and that's how we got here today. So how do I choose which town to go to? There's a couple of things I do. These books are actually on the Jeffersonville library shelves. I just got them a second ago. Indiana Off the Beaten Path and Oddball Indiana, which shows like curious, unusual, strange things that are kind of fun to explore. There's also a Southern Indiana visitor's guide. There's actually a stack of them right in the lobby out there today that has a lot of good ideas regarding Jeffersonville, Clarksville, and New Albany. I'm a member of AAA, and they put out a magazine quarterly that focuses on international and national travel, and they always have a section about Indiana as well. This one has an article about the Indianapolis 500. So that's where I get my ideas. There's also a YouTube channel that I really enjoy. It's called Adventures with Roger. And Roger is an Indiana resident who has published over 230 videos on different things to explore in Indiana. This is his most recent episode. And there's also some Facebook groups that I belong to that give me ideas as well. One's entitled Southern Indiana. Another's called Indiana is Calling. I grew up in Indiana. And this one is a particular interest for me. It's called Indiana Cemeteries. Cemeteries, there's always a lot of art and interesting architecture and interesting stories. And we'll show at least one cemetery today. So what I do is I do like an online search to see whether or not a community or a town has any of these, what I call destination criteria. These are things that I'm interested in. And so I'll do an internet search to see, like, for example, Madison, Indiana, public arts, or Hanover, statues and sculptures. And that's how I discover different things I didn't know existed before. And then the more of these destination criteria that a town has, the more likely it is that I'll visit that town. But I will also go to a town that might just have one thing, as long as it's very, very interesting to me. And we'll show a mural later on in Petersburg, Indiana, that I made a special trip just to see that single mural, just because it interested me. And so then I come up with an itinerary. And my itinerary will usually include like screen images that I captured off the internet with the address of where it can be found, the days and times it's open, if there's an admission charge, for example. If you decide to go on any trip, particularly to an indoor attraction, you might want to call the week of just to make sure it's still open. Sometimes these websites aren't always up to date, and you might get to some place and find out that they're doing renovation, for example, or that it's closed certain days of the week, or maybe the curator's out sick or something like that. I will also call the town and try to get a hold of either if they have a tourism bureau, maybe they do, or a visitor center, or a chamber of commerce, and I'll ask them, do you have any literature that you could send me? Any maps, any brochures? And usually they're very delighted to share their community in the hopes that someone will come visit. And so anyway, this is the itinerary that I came up with. We're going to be beginning in the eastern part of southern Indiana, so we'll start in Madison and work our way west. So those are some of the stops along the way, like Madison, Hanover to Utica, then Jeffersonville through Seymour, Muscatatuck. I don't know how you pronounce that. Muscatatuck? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Claudia. All the way to Corydon. And then we're going to go further west from Mitchell to Cannleton, Tell City to Jasper, and hopefully we'll be able to get to Huntingburg all the way through New Harmony. So if you all have any questions, feel free to ask. It's a small group. You can just make eye contact with me or raise your hand, or if there's a pause in what I'm saying, feel free to jump in. I want to offer to you all too, all of these photos that I took, all these photos that we're going to be seeing today are photos that I took with the exception of one, and I'll point that one out along the way. If any of you would like a copy of a photo, like if you really like it or it appeals to you for whatever reason, I'll be glad to get it to you. Just approach me after the lecture, and I can either get you a digital copy or print one out for you. I'll be glad to do that. So anyway, this shows kind of like where we're starting here, Madison, and then we're going to work our way west. Some of these communities didn't show up on the map, like this right here is Rose Island. This is Utica. This is the Pigeon Roost Memorial. This is Lanesville, Patoka, Ferdinand, Cannleton, and Troy. But we're going to get to as many of these as we can going west. All right? Does anybody have any questions so far? Okay, so if you would, put your seatbelt on and keep your eyes on the road, and we're going to get started. Our first stop is Madison. For each town, I'm going to give you a little bit of history of how it got its name. We'll point out the population, the year it was established, and how far it is from Jeffersonville if you are interested in going on a little road trip yourself. And I encourage you to do. It's kind of fun, discover new things. I would like to give you three recommendations, though, based on my own experience. The first is make sure your phone's charged before you go. And most of you, I've given presentations to younger audiences on other like pop culture issues, so none of them would probably know what this is I'm about to show you. I think everybody here knows what this is. This is called a map. It's like made out of paper, you fold it, and it kind of tells you where you are if you get lost. When you go on some of these trips, you're so far out that you may not get cell reception. And your GPS might get you there, but then it might not get you home. So it's a good idea to have a map with you. And if you don't have a map, you can go old school and kind of get your direction based on where the sun's located. It rises in the east, sets in the west, which will tell you where north and south is. One of the places on here, my GPS went out, and I didn't know where in the world I was. I was giving shame to my namesake. But I knew that the sun was setting west and I needed to go west. So I headed west, and eventually I got to someplace I recognized. And along those lines, now I'm going to sound like my mother. It's a good idea to let someone know that you're going out for the day. Give them an idea when you're coming back. You may encounter a road outage, a flash flood. There's all sorts of things that could delay you getting home. All right, now that my mothering is over, we're going to start with Madison. Madison was named after President James Madison, the fourth president of the United States. It boasts the largest contiguous National Historic Landmark District in the United States. In other words, there's a lot of historical buildings there. This is called the Broadway Fountain. It was constructed in 1876. Real striking. This is an older building called the Wendell Auditorium that was built almost 200 years ago in 1835. You can see the plaster the stucco was put on top of the brick and it's kind of fallen apart there. but it's still used as an auditorium and event space. This is St. Michael the Archangel, built in 1839. It's the oldest Gothic Revival style building in the state of Indiana. I really wanted to go in there that day. I love looking at stained glass, but they were doing some kind of like renovation there with the scaffolding, and they weren't letting anybody in there on that particular day. These are some sculptures that are in Madison. This is a Civil War monument in front of their courthouse. This is a more modern sculpture called Spring Awakening. And this, anybody like make out what this is supposed to be? What this might be?
Yeah, it's a person.
Yeah, it's kind of a person made out of railroad ties. Because railroad used to be real big in Madison. They have a courtyard up there that has all these beautiful murals. It's called Mulberry Mural Plaza. This one's called River of Kindness. It's just a portion of the full mural. The full mural is like 3 times this. Here's another one that's really fun. It's called Local Color. And this one's called Kindness. This is all just in a square in Madison, real close to the river. Okay, this is called the Lanier Mansion. It was built in 1844. They used Greek Revival architecture for that. This is an old college that was founded in 1848. It was called Lutheran College. It was a school founded by anti-slavery Baptists, and it allows students to enter without regard to ethnicity or gender, including freed and fugitive slaves.
And what year was that built?
1848.
48.
Yeah. I found out in doing research for this that Indiana outlawed slavery in 1816. Well ahead of the curve there. Now, just west of Madison is Hanover University. Has anybody ever been to Hanover University? Oh, okay.
My husband and I, we went there and saw Don McLean, the singer. He was there years ago.
Yeah. Do you remember where you saw him, Harriet? What building you saw him in?
It was a big auditorium.
Well, I asked because this is an auditorium that they used to use for that. It's called Parker Auditorium, built in 1842. Oh, I skipped over. Hanover was named after Hanover, New Hampshire, the hometown of the wife of Reverend Thomas Cyril, the founder of Hanover Presbyterian Church. Population just under 4,000, established 1808, about 46 miles away. So here's that Parker Auditorium. Here's the auditorium looking through those Greek columns, through the quadrangle. This is their library. It's called Dugan Library. And they have a special collections in the second floor that's really neat. And I discovered this. I didn't know the special collections was up there. This is a painting by Edward Burne Jones. He did a series of 6 paintings depicting the saga of St. George slaying the dragon. And this is the 3rd of 6 where Princess Sabra, I think it's pronounced, she was the daughter of the king. These women were drawing lots to see who's going to be sacrificed to the dragon next. And she draws a piece of paper that says Moritura on it, which I believe is Latin for she who will be next or she who will die. So Princess Sabra, she's going to be sacrificed to the dragon, but St. George rescues her. But anyway, the special collections, they have several like pre-Raphaelite paintings and sculptures. It's really wonderful. This is a sculpture just to the right of the library. It's called Enigma. Just kind of sits in a small field there. And Hanover also has the distinction of being like the only location where you can see 3 bends of the Ohio River. There's like one right over here. You got this second one, and then, you got 1, 2, 3 right there. And they have like a little pavilion on campus that beautifully overlooks it. So if you ever go up there, be sure to check that out too. They have a natural history museum there that to me is worth the trip up in and of itself. There's a whole building with classrooms and natural history artifacts. This is called Tinker, the juvenile T-Rex. And they also have Sandy, the mastodon. This is the largest intact mastodon remains in the world. And then they got all this other stuff going on too on every floor. So if you like natural history, that'd be a great place to go. Here's just some other examples of some things they have there. That's at Hanover. Okay, I'm going pretty fast. If anybody has any questions, feel free to slow me down. Okay, Rose Island. Has anybody been to Rose Island? Yeah? Okay.
Well, not the original.
And why is that?
Because it's gone.
Yeah, do you know when it's gone, when it left?
No.
It was built in 1923. This is an amusement park and resort area that it was real popular in this region. And you could get on a steamboat in Louisville and pay 50 cents for a round-trip ticket that would take you to Rose Island. It was destroyed in the 1937 flood. Now, it was already hurting due to the Depression. The Depression was going on around that time too, and then the flood came and just destroyed it. And so it was never renovated or refurbished, rehabilitated, but the remnants of it are there now. Here's to get to it. Do you remember how to get to it? Like what you had to go through to get there?
It was in Charlestown Park, and we had to go down a hill or up a hill to get over to where the remains were.
You have to go down a very steep hill.
Down it, up it.
Yeah, and if you're not inclined to hike up steep hills, the trip coming back can be really, really taxing on you.
It is.
But when you get there, here's one of the signs that leads you in. This is an old aerial sketch of what it used to look like. Carousel, dining hall, public dining hall, cottages. They had a hotel. I think this is the hotel, proposed golf course. The river, Ohio River, is down here, and then the entrance is right over here on the right.
Is it actually an island?
I don't think so. There is a river that you have to cross. There's a bridge there that we'll get to the bridge, but there's like a little river right here. But I don't think there's a river on this side. So no, I don't think it's an island. I think it's more like an inlet.
Peninsula or something?
Yeah. And so you see the people getting off the steamboat, and they're all dressed to the nines. They've all got their business suits on and their hats, and the women have their shawls and their hats and bonnets. And here's what it looks like now. See these two towers here, these two columns here? I believe that that's what these are right here, because one's slightly higher than the other. And here's the bridge you have to go across to actually get on the island. It's called the Portersville Bridge. And this bridge was actually moved from another location to get to where it is now. This is the remains of an old fountain there. This is called the Walkway of Roses. And let me just go back here. You see this right there? All those arches? That was like the grand entrance after you got off the steamboat. You would go through that walkway, and that would lead to the hotel or the cottages. And that's what this is here, the Walkway of Roses. There's still several of those there.
It looks kind of spooky.
I was there on a real sunny day, and in my mind I was envisioning all those people, dancing and frolicking and having fun. I bet you if you went at night when it was dark, it would be very spooky. Yeah. Here's a swimming pool full of old dead bodies. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, that's just gravel there that they filled it up with. That's another fountain. So that's Rose Island. Just north, and Rose Island, by the way, is in Charlestown State Park. It was built by David Rose. That's where it got its name from, David Rose. And just north of Rose Island, just further north of Charlestown, is Birdsell Castle. This is currently up for sale for about $1 million. If any of you are interested, they're looking for a buyer. This hosts medieval Renaissance fairs throughout the year. In fact, there's several going on in October, going on right now. Okay, next we're going to stop at Utica briefly. And Utica was named after Utica, New York. There's not a lot of things in Utica that interested me, but this has an interesting story. Wendy, do you know what that is?
Utica.
Yeah, what do you know about it?
I used to go up there a lot of times, yeah. It was fun to go up there. When you could get up there, it's kind of overgrown right now, but
Well, actually, you can see it from River Road very easily now.
there used to be a road went
Yeah.
up there. I used to go up there all the time.
There were all these legends of witches and witchcraft. I mean, it's all apocryphal and legendary and things. But in 1992, there was an actual murder of a young 12-year-old girl there. So it's got a lot of like negative notoriety. This is the only photo in our presentation that I did not take. I wanted to go up there and take it, but there were a lot of signs that said no trespassing, and I didn't want to push my luck. This is the Lewis and Clark Bridge, you know, the new East End Bridge that connects Louisville and, like, not Utica per se, but that area. Just another photo of it. Okay, next we're going to stop at our very own Jeffersonville. It's 0 miles from here if anybody wants to go there. These are just 4 brochures that show what's called historic gems in Jeffersonville. The Howard Steamboat Museum that Beverly, are you still a docent of?
Not now.
Okay, she used to be. Shemp's Confectionery, candy store, which, by the way, on November 7th, they're having a ribbon cutting celebration event in part because it was just named as the United States' most popular best candy store. And that's open to the public. This includes the Clark County Museum, which is like a history museum right up there, and then the Vintage Fire Museum. This is the Clark County Museum. They have I think it was painted about a year ago by Riley Greger. He painted that mural that kind of depicts Jeffersonville's history. The Clark County Museum, it has a lot of donated objects, like from Civil War era, World War I, World War II era. It has like some arrowhead collections, for example. It has like a street with like a theater, some shops and things in there. It's kind of fun to go into. And this is the Perpetual Perception water tower painting by Will C. This is the linchpin of the what's called the NOCO Arts and Cultural Arts District. And this is the walking bridge. I love that photo, how it captured all those colors. I'd love to see Jeffersonville do a study on how this walking bridge has impacted our community. People come from Louisville all the time. When people come in from out of town, I always show them that bridge. Beverly, what's this?
That's the Howard Steamboat Museum.
Yeah, and what's in
Behind it is the carriage house, the white building behind it.
and what's inside that museum?
Oh, it's a former home of the Howard family who were builders of the big paddle wheel steamboats that chugged up and down the Ohio and Mississippi River for many years.
Thank you. Beverly didn't know I was going to put her on the spot like that. Very good, Beverly. Here's the inside of the Shemp's candy store. They have a museum. In addition to having wonderful candy, They also have a museum in the back. And that's free admission. This candy shop was originally built in 1891. Vintage Fire Museum interior, this was built in 2014. They just finished, or they're about to finish, a new addition to that where they're going to move all the fire trucks into. This originally was a private individual's collection in New Albany, and then when he died, they didn't know what to do with it. They put it into storage, and then some other people were involved, and they finally got it into Jeffersonville. Has anybody been to this place? This is also in Jeffersonville. It's up near the Amazon distribution center.
Yeah,
Have you seen it, Wendy?
I've seen it.
It's called the...
Off of yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
I've seen it before. Over by Amazon, yeah.
Yeah. It's called the Justeca Cultural Center. And it's new. They have an art gallery on the inside that's open to the public, but you have to call ahead of time and make a reservation. You just can't walk in there anytime, but they'll be delighted to show you through there. And this is just a small sample of some of the art. It's mainly a contemporary art gallery. And Beverly, this is a place, a couple years ago, I was trying to get for the Urban Sketchers. It's called Nick's Powder Keg Museum of Treasures. It's real close to the, I think it's called Lakeside or Lakeshore. It's like a reception dining hall for wedding receptions and stuff. But this guy named Clark Nichols collected things like railroad cars and signs and old vehicles. And I think his goal is to make a museum that people can come visit, but they're always working on it. You know, it's a labor of love. You know, he's probably doing it with like volunteers or something. But you can drive through there and see it from the outside. These are just some of the things there. Okay, next up is Clarksville. Clarksville is named after George Rogers Clark, and it's about 2 miles from here. That's Falls of the Ohio Interpretive Center. And this is Rogers, Lewis, and Clark. I think the statue is called the Greet or the Meet, where they're shaking hands. And inside the Interpretive Center, they have their own mastodon skeleton and some Dale Chihuly glass artwork on the ceiling. These are just close-ups of the two pieces. And then this is the actual Falls of the Ohio. It's the world's largest exposed fossil bed. So Clarksville has that distinction. And then this is the old George Rogers Clark homestead. It's not too far from here. The actual only remnant of that is this chimney here of the homestead. This is a reproduction of a slave home. And then here's the famous Colgate clock, which when it was first built, it was the largest clock in the world. It's now the 9th largest. Okay. And then we'll spend a little bit of time in New Albany. New Albany was named after Albany, New York. And this is the Town Clock Church, built in 1852. Have any of you been in that? Okay. Yeah. Dale, do you know like what the relationship to that is to the Underground Railroad?
They used to hire people.
Yeah. They had the slaves that came from the south and helped them get to freedom.
Yeah. Yeah, they would come from Louisville, and across the river they could see that clock tower, which was like a beacon of hope. And you can go on tours of this church throughout the year, where you can actually go down into, well, they're not tunnels, but they're very close to tunnels underneath the church, you know, where they would bring the slaves through and lead them to freedom.
There used to be bounty hunters on the Ohio River searching for people who were trying to come across. And so a lot of times the folks who were trying to escape were like in the bilge underneath the decks of boats that were coming across the river.
Wow. Yeah,
I
Harriet?
didn't know if you all knew this, but, the Fire Museum, Kurt Peters, who is, I guess, the president of who oversees the Fire Museum right near the library, he's retired from IUS. He was a philosophy professor, but his wife, Pam Peters, wrote the Underground Railroad in Floyd County. I don't know if you all knew that.
No.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for sharing that, Beverly and Harriet. This is what's called the Division Street School. It was this was built in 1885. It was a segregated school for African American children. It closed in 1946, but now they have like a school room inside that you can take a tour of and see what it looks like. But again, that it's not open throughout the week. You have to set up an appointment to get in there to see it. And this has gone through a lot of names. Right now it's called the Floyd County Cultural Arts Center. It used to be called the Carnegie Center. Before that it was the Carnegie Library. This was built in 1904. And they have art galleries in there now. And this is affectionately called the Parthenon, but it's known as the 2nd Street Bank. That's the official title. And this is up for sale too. It was called the Parthenon because it was inspired by the Parthenon in Athens, Greece. And this is the some columns. These are the original columns of the former Floyd County, New Albany courthouse. The Floyd County, New Albany courthouse now is like a late 50s, early 60s era, kind of, in my opinion, kind of a nondescript building, but they maintained these columns, but if you'll note, I never can get this pointer to work. Right here, they're truncated. The actual columns were much taller than that. I think if I had to offer a guess, I would guess they truncated those so that it wouldn't compete with the height of the new building. See, now those columns are framed within the structure of the current building. And this is called The Search by Barney Bright. It's in front of the Floyd County Public Library. It's a beautiful sculpture.
We had Barney Bright sculpture in the library.
Yes. Do you know what that one's called by any chance, Harriet?
The one that we have?
Mm-hmm.
I thought it depicts the Devonian era,
Thank you.
but
Yeah.
I'm not sure what it.
It's untitled.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it reflects like life coming out of the Ohio River. It's real organic. If you haven't seen it, it's worth a trip downstairs.
Before we did our big remodeling, I mean, when I was growing up, it was on the side of the building where the first entrance was, which
Mm-hmm.
is now closed by the maker's space.
Yeah.
Because I remember being a kid, Wendy probably too, being a kid, and it reminded me of octopus. And
Yeah.
I always was scared to walk underneath it.
Yeah, it's in the lower level on the south end of the building. Be sure to see it. This is Culbertson Mansion, built in 1869. The New Albany Riverfront Amphitheater that was built in 2021. And there is a funeral home, Kraft Graceland Memorial Park in New Albany, that has an exact replica of Michelangelo's Pieta. And that it's in what's called the Chapel of Memories, which is usually locked, but if it's unlocked, you can just go in there and get right up to it.
Is it marble?
Excuse me?
Is it marble?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. I think I read that there's like only 5 reproductions, and there just happens to be one in New Albany. Yeah. It's pretty cool. Okay, next up, Scottsburg, named after Horace Scott, a railroad official, and the town was established due to the arrival of the Jeffersonville Railroad there. there's not a lot up in Scottsburg that interested me, but this is the Scott County Heritage Center and Museum, which was built in 1892. Has a lot of genealogy information and resources there. And when I was coming home from there, this is an example of a found object. It wasn't on my itinerary. I didn't know it was there. Didn't know anything about it from the internet. This is a National Memorial Historic Site in honor of a group of settlers that were massacred by Indians in 1812. It's called the Pigeon Roost Massacre, and this memorial was constructed in 1904. And it's just a close-up of the memorial on the right there. Okay, next up is Seymour. Again, we're just going westward. Seymour was named after Henry Seymour, the chief engineer of the Ohio and Mississippi Railroad. John Cougar Mellencamp, he wrote a song, Small Town, and he was right. If you go to Seymour, you'll see why he was inspired to come up with that song. And then they also have an Army and Air Force museum there. These are two statues in honor of the Tuskegee Airmen. And someone's going to need to help me out on here. The National Wildlife Preserve there, Muscatetta. Thank you, Claudia. Thank you, Wendy. This is nearby. They have a really nice visitor center there. And this is another found attraction. I didn't know this existed, but I saw a sign pointing to a cemetery in that wildlife preserve. It's called the Barkman Cemetery. And these tombs, I'm blanking on the word, tombstones were from the early 1800s. There's about 30 of them there. And I just thought that was kind of neat. I just stumbled upon that. Kate, did you have something, Becky?
I was agreeing with you.
Yeah. Yeah, I like just finding stuff that wasn't on my agenda.
Indeed.
Okay, next up is Columbus, Indiana, named after Christopher Columbus. And if anybody been to Columbus, Indiana? Okay. That's worth a day trip too. It is considered the 6th most significant architectural city in the United States, with only a population of about 52,000. And the reason for that is because the Cummins Foundation developed an architecture program where they fronted money for world-famous architects to come in and do their designs. And so everywhere you look in Columbus are beautiful, beautiful modern and contemporary architecture. I won't have time to show it all because there's just so much, but we'll get through some of the highlights. This is the Stewart Bridge as you're coming in. This is their visitor center. And close observers can notice these Chihuly glass sculptures there.
Oh.
Here they are, it's just a close-up of them. This sculpture on the left is in the Commons Mall, is called Chaos. And then in the Commons headquarters building, they have a museum in the very front of their headquarters, and this sculpture is suspended from the ceiling. You can see the wires, every part of that engine is suspended from a ceiling, and it's called Exploding Engine. This is their library. The interior, designed by I.M. Pei. This is their old courthouse on the left, built in 1874. And on the right is their Veterans Memorial that was built in 1997. And here are some close-ups of that Veterans Memorial. For this one, I just stood in the middle and looked up. Sometimes as a photographer, you can get real interesting shots by just using a different perspective that not everyone might use. This is a really cool sculpture there. It's called Eos. It was installed in 2006. And then there's a hotel there in front of us called Hotel Indigo, and the name of this is Another Columbus Landmark. And if you use your imagination and look sideways, can anyone see what that might spell? Columbus. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. This is a sculpture called Transformations that's at the Columbus Learning Center. It was installed in 2010. And again, I just got underneath to take that. Usually people take a photo of that from the side. I just thought it would be kind of neat if you got underneath it. This is called the AT&T switching station. And it really looks modern, and it kind of looks like something you might see in New York City. And these are functional exhaust and air conditioning pipes that they made into a work of art at the AT&T switching station. This has kind of a curvature there as we go down the hallway. This is at the Columbus Learning Center. And at the end of the hallway is a statue called Self-Made Man, where this person's carving himself out of the rock. And the idea is that through education, we can make ourselves into something else, And these are some more Dale Chihuly glass. It's on the ceiling right above where this guy's carving himself out. If you, right above the ceiling is that mosaic. This is a church. It's called First Christian Church. It was built in 1942. And then they have a large arch in a library courtyard across the street. And I just thought it'd be kind of cool to use that large arch to frame the church. This is the interior of that church. A lot of the churches that we'll see in Columbus, they have a real modern feel, and some people that come from old school are uncomfortable with that because it's so different. But it's interesting. When you go to Columbus, that's what you expect. That's the spire to St. Peter's Lutheran Church, which was built in 1988. This is over 200 feet tall, and it just dominates the Columbus skyline. Here's another modern church, St. Bartholomew Roman Catholic Church, built in 2002, and First Baptist Church in 1965. This is the interior of St. Bartholomew Roman Catholic Church. And churches didn't look like that when I was growing up in Louisville. And this is a real nice sculpture at their Boys and Girls Club. It's called Celebration. It depicts children playing together. Different ethnicities are represented, going all the way around that globe. It's real joyful. This is the lobby of their hospital in Columbus, Columbus Regional Hospital. I wouldn't mind getting sick there. And this is their new city hall. And this is a shot from inside looking out at the old courthouse there. Yeah, the whole interior's curved. And this is the courtyard of that Cummins Center headquarters.
And, going back a slide, did you say that was their new city hall?
Yes. Yeah. The old city hall is a real traditional looking building made out of brick.
That looks right there.
No, this is their old courthouse.
Courthouse.
Yeah. Well, I think it still functions as a courthouse. Does anyone want to guess what this is? We're still in Columbus, so think modern, contemporary, outside the box.
Church?
This is their jail.
Oh.
See, I wouldn't mind getting arrested there.
I saw it looks like a cross there on the left-hand side.
Oh yeah, right up here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't it remind you of something that would be in like Moscow or somewhere in Russia? It just has that feel. least a name.
Interesting. So that's the county jail.
Yeah, Bartholomew County Jail, exactly. And this is called 6th Street Art Alley, where they integrate the art on the walls with the art on the actual alleyway, which is really, really neat. Okay. So next up is Lanesville. Lanesville's not too far from here. It's only about 22 miles west of here on 64. And it was named after the government official who founded it. There was just one thing in Lanesville that interested me. I like looking at old school, old world churches. I love the stained glass and the architecture. So anyway, this is St. Mary's. It sits way up on a hill. I went to visit our friend Heather there. She works at the library in their makerspace. And I saw this up on a hill, and I said, oh, let me see if I can't go in there and see what it looks like. So I couldn't figure out how to get in, so I called the front office, and the woman who answered was glad to show me how to get in. And it's open all the time. You just have to know which door to go through. But when I went in it had this real like European kind of medieval old world feel. And the stained glass was beautiful. And so anyway, that's Lanesville. Okay, next up is Salem. It's named after Salem, North Carolina, the hometown of one of its founders. This is the Washington County Courthouse with a Veterans Memorial in the foreground. I discovered the magic of using a wide-angle lens about 8 months ago. And a wide-angle lens really broadens your perspective. Yuck, yuck, yuck. But using the wide-angle lens, I was able to get the foreground memorial along with the courthouse. And this is a mural that's like in the town square, just depicting rural life. Now, I did a little research on this and found out that this guy here was added later, and that gentleman's name is Everett Dean. He was the first IU All-American. And I assume he's from Salem. Okay, next up is Corden. Corden has an interesting story in terms of where it got its name from. It's named after the shepherd Corden, who is in the hymn, the Pastoral Elegy. So apparently there's a Christian hymn book that has a shepherd named Corden in it. Here's the Corden State Capitol, built in 1816. It's the Harrison County Discovery Center. It's like a museum dedicated to Corden in Harrison County. This is a mural painted by Carrie Johns, Greetings from Corden. And just to the right of it, this is called the Constitution Elm. That's a dead tree that they built this like little memorial around. And the significance of it was when the original founders of Indiana were meeting at the state capitol and they needed to take a break to have their lunch and get some shade, they sat underneath that tree. And there was a lot of like behind the scenes negotiating and consultation that went on. So anyway, that tree has a lot of significance, and they built that memorial around it. Okay, next up is Mitchell. It was named in honor of General Ormsby Mitchell, who helped find the town. And hopefully most of y'all might remember who Gus Grissom is. No? He was one of the original Mercury 7 astronauts. He also flew Gemini, and he was one of the 3 astronauts who was killed on Apollo 1 when it caught on fire. Anyway, he was born in Mitchell, and they have this beautiful limestone memorial dedicated to him. And on each of these, like fins, a lot of rockets on the base, they have fins. The Gemini did not. But anyway, this mimics fins, and it has like his story on each side of the fin. His boyhood home is also there too. Gus Grissom. Okay, next up is Bedford, named by the founder after Joseph Rollins, after his hometown in Bedford, Tennessee. This is the Lawrence County Courthouse. I asked that flag to pose like that when I took that photo. And this is the interior of it. They have a park there. This is called the Otis Park Limestone Band Shell, where performers get up on stage and perform. This is made out of limestone. And this is a cemetery there called Green Hill Cemetery. I want to tell you the story behind these two tombstones. On the left, there's a local golfer named Tom Barton who died relatively young, like in his early 50s, but he had just completed a golf tournament like the day before he died. And if you look at this, you'll see like the hat that he wears when he went golfing, and there are his golf clubs. Okay, now this tombstone is dedicated to Lewis Baker, who died from a lightning strike. He was 23 years old, and he was a stonemason. So his buddies carved his workstation that has like his broom, his gloves, his tools. That's exactly how his workstation looked at this moment of death. So that's a real interesting tombstone. But this cemetery is just filled with limestone sculptures. This is a real beautiful church there called St. Lawrence, again made out of limestone. That's its altar on the right. These are 5 of their stained glass that I put together. These are actually very far apart, but I put them together for the purpose of this slide. Okay, next we have Bloomington. And it was called Bloomington for its abundance of flowers. This is the Monroe County Courthouse. And again, earlier I was talking about taking different perspectives. I just got directly underneath the dome and looked up and took that photo. And you can see, can't get the pointer to work, but there's a mural here, there, up, there, that we'll see in just a moment. Yeah, here are the 4 murals there. They're beautifully painted. They depict like stonework. One depicts education because I use there, the knowledge one. Agriculture because farming's so important. And then justice because they're in the courthouse there. This is at Indiana University on campus in front of their football stadium. This is called Spirit of Indiana. And the idea is that as we work together, we can accomplish great things. They have what's called Memorial Hall there. And it's also nicknamed the Living Art Museum. And it's full of sculptures and statues and stained glass and paintings. Here's a copy of Venus de Milo. And then they have this copy of, it's called Ugolino and His Sons. That statue, you can see the sons and him, they're both like in anguish. I forget what the backstory is, but it's a very, very dark story. It's a mythological story. And then this is some stained glass that's from the 1200s on the left and the 1400s on the right. It's in Memorial Hall. There's also what's called the Eskenazi Art Museum. And let me see if I can find the year that was from. I don't have the year that was from, but it's a real beautiful art museum. It just went through some renovations about 10 years ago. This is the atrium looking up. I like the way the shadows of that lattice go along the wall there. And these are just some examples of some of the art. They have contemporary art in there. They have Middle Age and Renaissance art in there. And they also have sculptures from antiquity in there. This museum is free to the public during regular work hours. Anybody can go there anytime. Here.
That was the one designed by I.M. Pei, correct?
Yeah, that's right. Thank
Say
you.
that again. What did you say, Harry?
The one designed by I.M. Pei, it's right by the 7th Street Auditorium, it's right in that area.
Now, is that, you said it's open regularly, but is it a private museum? Isn't Eskenazi, isn't it a family name?
Yeah, it's a private collection and it's on campus and he just has it open to the public.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a gift, what a great gift.
Yeah, that's worth the trip to Bloomington just to see that. But while you're there, you should see some of the other art and sculpture there too, including this guy. This is called Amatria, and it's in what's called Luddy Hall, and it's built by like a computer scientist, and this is referred to as living art. As you walk underneath it, it senses your presence. And as it senses your presence, different colors light, it moves, there's different sounds. So it's like a living, breathing sculpture.
Which hall did you say?
What's it called?
What's the name of the hall?
Luddy.
Oh, like.
Luddy.
Wow.
And it's called Amatria. There's a nice video, like a 1.5 minute video on YouTube where they interview the artist and it shows what it does as you walk through it. Really, really neat. And this is the IU auditorium, where they have performances. And up above here, there's some sculpture here that we're going to get to in just a second. I tried contacting the people that work there to see if I could get the backstory on the sculpture, but no one knew who those were. I imagine they're related to the performing arts somehow. And on the inside, they have these gigantic murals that were painted by Thomas Hart Benton. These murals were originally at the Chicago World's Fair in 1933. They were met with great controversy when they came to Indiana University. There were 3 reasons for that. One reason was because the artist, Benton, was not from Indiana. Another issue was that he was paid a very handsome sum, much greater than what the native Indiana artists were making. And the third reason there was controversy is because he depicted, not in one of these murals, but in another one, the Ku Klux Klan burning a cross. And the students and the faculty felt that that should not be on campus. Benton's response to that was, this is part of Indiana's history. And that's all I'm doing is showing that. But anyway, these murals are gigantic and very colorful. This is what's called Show Walter Fountain, which is right in front of the auditorium. It depicts Venus kind of laying down in a clam with some fish around her. This is called Lilly Library, which has a special collection of historical documents and manuscripts. This is the largest limestone sculpture of a brain in the world, in front of the psychology department. And this is another sculpture on campus called Cindy's Song. This is the Global and International Studies Building atrium. I just thought that was kind of artistic. And this is one of their carillons, I think is pronounced. It's a big tower that plays music on the hour as a whole. I think it has about 200 bells in it. This is called Beck Chapel, where a lot of students will go, like if they're getting married. The stained glass you see on the right, that's actually located right here. And this is called the Rosewell House. It was built in 1908. A lot of people will go there to get their wedding pictures taken, or like their prom photos or things taken. And this is just a building I thought was really cool. It's called the Mice Building. This was built in 2021. And off campus, they have what's called the Tibetan Mongolian Buddhist Cultural Center. That was built in 1978. Okay, next up is French Lick. Gets its name from a combination of its history as a French trading post and the presence of a natural salt lick within the town's boundaries. Has anybody been to West Bottom Springs Hotel? Yeah?
Is it Bottom? I thought it was Bacon.
I'm sorry,
I
Mary?
thought it was pronounced Bacon.
Maybe you're right. When I go on these road trips, they don't tell me how to pronounce it. I just read the sign. Let me see when that was built. Oh, I wanted to show you this. This is the
West Bay, isn't it?
West Bay, and that's what Harry was saying, yeah. Well, we're doing this democratically. We got 2-1, so it's West Bay, and is how we're going to pronounce it. But this is the inner atrium area. It used to be the largest dome in the United States. It was called the 8th wonder of the world when it was first built. It's just majestic. It's beautiful. This is some sculptures that's in that atrium area. They represent the 4 of Apollo's muses, 2 of the 4. And then in the grand lobby area, there's this like gold-plated scenery on the ceiling depicting Pluto in the blue and Persephone on the right in the red. Okay, now Patoka, do y'all know what cryptozoology is?
What is it? What was the question?
Cryptozoology, you know what that is? It's like the study of legendary animals that may or may not exist. And I've always been interested in that. And in Patoka, I got to actually photograph Bigfoot for the first time. And there's Bigfoot. This is called Bigfoot fishing. And it's at the French Lick Cabins at Patoka Lake Village. It's kind of fun. Okay, Cannleton. Cannleton is one of these towns that I didn't know existed. When I was visiting some friends in Tell City and driving home along the river, I saw these 2 giant, I didn't know how big they were, but it looked like 2 towers headed down towards the river. So I thought, well, I'm in no rush to get home. Let me go down there and see what's going on. And this is what I saw. From the road, I could only see the top of those 2 towers. Now, I'm not a Harry Potter fan, but I've been told that this is reminiscent of a building in the Harry Potter books. Are you agreeing with that, Beverly? Okay.
Yes.
This used to be a cotton mill.
Yeah, I remember that.
And when it was in operation, it was the largest industrial plant west of the Alleghenies. Now it's used as low-income housing,
Really?
Section 8 housing.
Wow.
Yeah. And here's some other photos of it that I converted to black and white just to kind of capture how old that building is. But they renovated it and it looks beautiful. And in Cannleton too, I found these 2 churches that are kind of falling apart as well. On the left is St. Luke's Episcopal Church, built in 1846. And on the right is St. Michael's Church, built in 1859. Okay, up next is St. Meinrad. Tell City. Tell City's named after William Tell. You know the legend where some corrupt politician in Switzerland, apparently Tell wouldn't bow down to him, and he said, well, you're going to have to shoot an apple off your son's head, and if you miss, no, you have to hit it or else I'm going to imprison both of you or something like that. This is a statue of William Tell and his son on the left. And about a mile from downtown Tell City is this Celtic cross that is the world's largest Celtic cross that's carved in a single piece of stone. Yeah. Kind of sits up off the river. You kind of have to look for it. Okay, now we're at St. Meinrad. Okay, this is the St. Meinrad Arch Abbey. It's just a wide-angle view of it. Has a real old world, like European Middle Age feel to it on the outside. On the inside, it's more contemporary. This is what it looks like on the inside. This is the St. Thomas Aquinas Chapel. And there's artwork throughout St. Meinrad. You could spend a whole day looking at the art. This is in their cafeteria. I couldn't get the story of what this was, but this is a more contemporary series of paintings. This is a more traditional. This was just in one of the hallways in one of the school buildings. Now they have what's called a chapter room, where it's like where their governing body meets. Like the heads sit here and the rest of the people sit over here on the left. and it's filled with art. There's a mural here we're going to see in a minute, and then there's scenes from creation and Genesis on the ceilings. But you also have these very austere looking monks that guard the entrance door for you. When I went in there recently, the lights were off. I knew these guys were there, and I knew where the light switch was. I turned it on, but boy, if I didn't know those guys were there, and I was poking around in the dark and saw them, that would be scary.
Now, what is the time period for this building and for this artwork?
St. Meinrad was built in 1854. I don't know when the chapter room was built. Oh, well, the paintings I'm seeing here in my notes, Beverly, these paintings were painted in 1940, the 1940s.
Hmm.
There's at the end of that building, you know, the Jesus sitting at the throne there. And these are some scenes from the ceiling that depict like God's creation.
It's Barney Pride.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, Barney Bride?
Yeah.
Now, about a half mile from St. Meinrad it's called the Monte Cassino Shrine. And this looks very, very unassuming and humble, doesn't it? Let me get you the year of that. This was built in 1873. And this is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. When you go inside, though, look at that. I feel like every time I go in there, I've been in there probably 3 or 4 times, I feel like I'm in a time machine. You know, and that I'm going back about 500 or 600 years. It's just beautiful. Okay, Ferdinand, named after Emperor Ferdinand, and this is the Immaculate Conception Monastery, built in 1924. And there's the interior of it. Okay, Troy was named after Judge Alexander Troy, one of the town's founders. And the only thing in Troy that I was interested in seeing was this statue. It's called Christ of the Ohio. It's in honor of all the people that have worked on the river in the past and the future. It's about 17 feet tall. And now we're into Jasper, Wendy. This is a mural. It's called Jasper, Born in Rich Soil. And this is a statue created gateway to the heart. It like signifies the gateway to Jasper. And this is that statue Wendy and Dale and I were talking about earlier. It's called Unbounded Imagination. It depicts children standing on books, and they're using their imagination to envision themselves being pilots or astronauts or doctors. And right behind it is the Jasper Public Library and the Jasper Cultural Center, which is filled with art galleries.
Wow.
This is a mural that is at the Southwestern Indiana Child Advocacy Center. And the artist, I did a little research, children that are going into this building are always from like broken homes or were victims of physical or sexual abuse. So the artist wanted to depict something kind of joyful to lift their spirits up, you know, so they feel a little bit better going into that building. And this is a church in Jasper called St. Joseph's. And here's what it looks like on the inside. It's just beautiful. This is probably one of my favorite churches in Indiana to go to.
You have a grotto out back, it doesn't mean, the grotto.
We're going to see that in just a second.
Yeah.
Have you seen this presentation before, Wendy? Did you know that? Okay.
I've been down to places.
Now, this is a modern church called the Church of the Holy Family, and it is famous for having one of the world's largest, I forget the term, it's a type of stained glass. It's not typical stained glass. Usually stained glass is thicker. This type of glass is the thickness of regular glass. It's called like Dalle de Ver or something like that. But anyway, you can see like the pews down here to give you an idea about how massive that stained glass is. and that depicts the Holy Family. There's another window on the other side that depicts rural scenes in Jasper. And here's the Geo Grotto.
Yeah.
Yeah. This picture does not capture the full scope of this Geo Grotto. It's very large.
Geo as in G-E-O?
D-E.
D-E-O.
Yeah. It's like a type of stone that you get out of like a lake or a river.
Oh, geode.
Yes.
G-E-O, oh, okay.
Geode. You crack it open and it's like crystals in it.
Thank you, Claudia. Okay, Huntingburg was named because it had fertile hunting grounds. And this baseball stadium here is called the League Stadium. And it has the distinction of being in a Hollywood movie, A League of Their Own, which has a famous scene where Tom Hanks is yelling at one of his players and says, "There's no crying in baseball." But anyway, they have a little museum dedicated to that, and they actually expanded the stadium for that film. And it now, they have a minor league team there called the Dubois County Bombers. Okay, next is, we got a city named after one of our participants here, Dale. And this is famous for having Lincoln's Boyhood Memorial. And this is the visitor center there. They have like a working farm there where it shows like where Lincoln grew up. You kind of have to hike to get down there. And inside that visitor center, they have a room. It's called the Abraham Lincoln Hall that represents meeting houses and churches of the day. It's like a reproduction of it. And next up is Petersburg, named after the city's founder, Peter Brenton. And this is the city where I made a special trip just to see this mural. This was the only thing in Petersburg that interested me. But this is Gil Hodges. He used to be a baseball player for the Brooklyn Dodgers. Then he coached the New York Mets and led them to the Miracle Mets season of '69, where they were big underdogs and they upset the heavily favored Baltimore Orioles. He was the manager of the year for doing that. Vincennes is named after a French commander who founded the settlement in the early 1730s. This is the George Roger Clark Memorial, built in 1936. This is a handrail right here, where you can get an idea how big a human is on that. This is huge. This is the largest federal monument outside of Washington, D.C., in our very own Indiana. And this is what it looks like on the inside. We have a 15-foot tall statue of George Rogers Clark, and then there's 7 murals surrounding him that depict his story. This is, technically I shouldn't have it in the presentation because this is in Illinois. But when I was in Vincennes, I was curious to see what was on the other side of the bridge. And I found this Abraham Lincoln statue where it depicts him and his family moving from Indiana to Illinois. And you may notice there's an angel right here. So the idea is like there's some divine providence guiding him to go to Illinois. But this is a really neat statue too. These are some other statues in Vincennes. On the left is Francis Vigo, an Italian-American merchant who assisted General Clark in the Revolutionary War. And on the right, we have a statue of Vincennes. This is the Basilica of St. Francis Xavier Proto-Cathedral that was built in 1826. It's the oldest Catholic church in Indiana. This is what the altar looks like.
Is that a painting?
Here?
Yeah.
No, that's a sculpture.
Okay.
That's 3-dimensional. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
How big is that? Give me an idea. Give me a
Well,
perspective on it.
if a priest was doing mass, he'd be standing right behind it. This would come up to about his waist.
So, okay.
About half size or something?
Ma'am?
Half size or something? Small?
Oh, I don't know. I'd probably say I guess it's probably a little more than a third. third to a half.
Ah, so it's three-dimensional.
Yeah,
Looks like they're having a little party under the table.
yeah.
Wow, well, that's something. And then the stained glass circular windows.
Yeah, and they have a lot of stained glass going down the length of the church as well. There was a service going on when I was taking this picture. There were a bunch of elderly Catholic women that were saying the rosary, and I was really conscientious about disturbing them, so I waited till they were done, which took a while. Finish the rosary. Well, I think we'll be able to get to all of these before 4:30. We're almost done here. This is the courthouse, the Knox County Courthouse, which was built in 1876, and the Civil War Memorial, built in 1914. Y'all heard of Red Skelton? They have the Red Skelton Museum of American Comedy in Vincennes, built in 1995.
Was he from Vincennes?
Yeah, his home is right across the street from this, that he grew up in. And any of you remember a local show called T-Bar V?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Remember Cactus?
I was on that show.
Cactus was his brother.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I had a video clip of Gertrude and Heathcliff, a Gertrude and Heathcliff joke about Red Skelton, but I couldn't get it to run for some reason on here. But the gist of it is Gertrude and Heathcliff are pelicans. And Heathcliff is going like this, and he goes, "I'm so tired, Gertrude. I've been doing this 40,000 times a day." And the wife says, "You ought to just consider using deodorant." This is a statue directly across from the Comedy Museum. It's called Dusk and Dawn of the 21st Century, and it's a memorial to 9/11, believe it or not. The empty circles represent both towers, and then the reflective middle part represents like a hope that maybe things can get better. But I thought it was kind of ironic that they have this memorial directly across from the Comedy Museum. It doesn't seem like a good location to me. But all right, our last stop is New Harmony, Indiana. And it was named to signify a fresh start and a new vision of communal living, initially established as Harmonie in 1814 by the Harmonist Society. Okay, this is the Harmonist Hedge Labyrinth from the early 1800s. The idea with the labyrinth is you walk through this path, it's like a maze, and as you're working your way through the maze, you become more like introspective, contemplative, closer to nature, connecting to nature. This is, down the center, it's called the Roofless Church. And these are the gates to the Roofless Church. You can see how ornate and gold and beautiful those are. That's the Roofless Church with some contemporary sculpture on the left and right. The one on the left is called Pieta. The one on the right is called Angel of Annunciation. This is their visitor center. It's called the Athenaeum Visitor Center, built in 1979, winner of multiple architectural awards.
Wow.
Yeah, it has a lot of glass. When you go inside, a lot of light goes through. It has some art exhibits, art galleries. This is another labyrinth. It's called the Cathedral Labyrinth, right outside the visitor center. And this is what's called the Working Men's Institute. It's the state's oldest continuously operating library. And on the inside, on the second level, they have a museum that was probably built in the late 1800s because the exhibits there are very old. Okay, so that's all I wanted to show you. Oh, these are just some other things that didn't make the cut. Anyway, so anybody have any questions? Or?
This is great, Dina.
That was amazing.
Oh, thank you.
This is
Thank
great.
you.
I learned a lot.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for coming.
Makes me wanna go and visit some.
Yeah, yeah. Now, there was a slide I thought was on here. These are from Indiana University. These are some brochures from IU. That's another picture of the courthouse, another picture of the chapter room ceiling, another picture of the Monte Cassino Shrine. That's at the Immaculate Conception Monastery, looking up at the ceiling. Oh, that's that other stained glass that depicts like rural life in Jasper. These are some brochures I Xerox. That's at the Dale Lincoln Childhood Home. There was another slide that I don't know where it went, but it shows where I plan to go in the near future. I want to go to Evansville, which I've never been to before. Terre Haute, which has a lot of neat things up there. I've been there once, but I couldn't find the pictures from it.
If you get a chance, go to the Campbell's Holocaust Museum.
Yes, yes. Yeah, isn't she coming down to speak at the,
Me and her son, she passed away, Eva Core.
well, isn't someone from there going to speak at the Big Read project?
We had Eva's son, Alex Core.
Oh, okay,
and his co-writer.
okay.
And then the following week, on the 17th, we were supposed to have Troy Fears, who is now, he was a superintendent at Terre Haute, and now he's the director of the museum. He came down with a flu.
Oh,
So, but we hope to have him next year. But,
okay.
But yeah, they were just amazing. I mean, the speakers we had.
At Hanover College, we've got a couple minutes left. Do y'all mind if I quickly go through these other ones that didn't make the cut? I pared it down so we could get it done in an hour and a half. But here's some other ones. This will be on the bonus feature DVD. At Hanover University, that T-Rex called Tinker is very important for that campus. In the library, they have a giant mural featuring Tinker. And they also, in the art department, they have a wall of Tinker that's used as a backpack rack, which is really cool. That's an original sign from Rose Island, and if you go to Rose Island, you can get this handout at the visitor center where you can check off all the different remnants that you can see. This was at that Nick's Powder Keg Museum of Treasures. This is supposedly the bus from in the Andy Griffith Show, or from Mount Pilot, which is where Andy Griffith was filmed. Oh, this is another view of that celebration. This is called Halcyon. It's in Columbus. It's in front of the regional hospital. This is a sculpture dedicated to first responders who helped out with a flood that occurred not too long ago, actually.
And where
That's
are we again now?
we're in Columbus, Indiana, right now.
Columbus, okay.
Yeah.
Both of these are
Yes.
in Columbus.
Yes. This is in Columbus as well. This used to be a newspaper building. Now it's part of Indiana University. It was designed by one of those famous architects. I forget which. This is at the Columbus Learning Center. It has books and then like a globe with water flowing on it. This is a high school in Columbus that was designed by one of those architects. This was a bank in Columbus that was designed by one of those architects. And Columbus, every 2 years, they have, it's called Exhibit Columbus, where a bunch of architects and artists come together and create either permanent or temporary installations throughout Columbus. And it's a free event. You can go up there and have guided tours and see all of these things and meet the artists. It's a lot of fun. I went to my first one just a few months, I forget the date, it was maybe like a month or two ago. This is one of the works. And remember that 6th Street alley? This is an aerial view of that 6th Street alley I was telling you about before. This is from stained glass. I think this is the one in Lanesville. Oh, Bedford has a Land of Limestone museum. And then they have a history museum, and it has a bunch of really old things. The only thing that really caught my eye were these Wizard of Oz dolls. I just thought that was really neat. Here's a close-up of one of those murals at the courthouse in Bloomington. That's Assembly Hall, Bloomington.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Maybe I ought to include that one next. But that's like an remember that place I was telling you that people get their wedding photos taken of? This is like looking out from inside it. That's in Ferdinand. Though that's some of the art that was in that Working Men's Institute in New Harmony. This is like that second floor museum I was telling you about, where everything looks so old. I mean, that animal looks prehistoric to me. And this was at the courthouse in Bedford, the ceiling. This is that Otisville, or that Otis Bandshell Park, where I'm on stage looking out into the field. Oh, this will be the last thing I'll tell you guys, and then we'll adjourn. The first time I gave this presentation, I gave this graph to simply show that the more populous a town is, the more things it has that I'm interested in. And I got like too much in the weeds describing what a correlation coefficient was and a line of regression, and it's like I really regret that. But this shows points of interest to me, and me only, and then the population. So for example, Bloomington has a population of about 80,000, and it had about 22 or 23 things that I wanted to see. And the smaller the town is, the fewer the things, with the exception of New Harmony. New Harmony only has a population of about 700, but it had about 7 or 8 things that interested me. So anyway, I learned from my past mistake not to include this. I'm sorry I subjected you all to that right now. This is an example of an itinerary that I make up, and then I try to check off the things. This was for Madison. These are just some of the resources. That's it.
All right.
We got a minute to spare if you have any questions. Thank you very much. Does anybody have any questions?
That's great, Daniel. I have a question.
Yeah,
for you.
yeah.
What inspired you to go on this journey?
Of exploration?
Yes. What inspired you to do it and kept you going? Because you're covering a lot of territory here.
That's a good question, Beverly. I love to travel. I've always loved to travel. I'll share an anecdote with you. When I used to work for a psychiatric hospital in New Jersey, I became the go-to person to escort international patients home, which allowed me to go to Cairo, Copenhagen, Frankfurt, London, Paris, Rome. It was like I was the anti-bounty hunter. I was taking people home to their families after we stabilized them, because we serviced an international airport. And the threshold for getting on a plane is a lot lower in Europe and other countries than it is here. So people would get on the plane, and then they would land, and they would demonstrate their severe mental illness. They would come to our hospital, we'd stabilize them, and then they needed someone to send them home. One of the trips was to go to Cairo, and there was a terrorist attack, and the person who was supposed to take them home said, "I don't want to have anything to do with this." And I said, "I'll take them." So since that was successful, I got to travel all over the world taking people home.
What an unusual job.
Yeah.
I've never heard of that before.
So I've always loved travel, and now that I'm married and that my wife works during the day, I want to go on day trips so I'm home before she gets home from work. So all of these things are doable in a day. You know, to go to the place, see the things, get home, be home in time to cook dinner. And what I've discovered too is that like all of these things I enjoy seeing in Europe or Asia or whatever, there's something like that here. Like Jasper, you feel like you're in Germany. Some of what you see in Jasper. You know, some of what you see in St. Minor, you feel like you're in Rome. So anyway, I like traveling. It's edifying. You know, it gets me out of the house. I like taking pictures. I applied for a job as an adjunct professor at IUS in psychology, and they didn't hire me. I think because I'm 2 generations removed from the current knowledge base. I'm old, in other words. So I decided to create my own curriculum. So we got this, we got the art, we got like the pop culture stuff, the Vietnam travels. I'm working on another one involving astronomy and whether or not there's life on other planets. So I'm like creating my own curriculum where I don't have to worry what IUS says, you know.
Yes.
So anyway, I just enjoy traveling and learning new things, seeing new things.
Your attention, please. The time is now 4:30. In 15 minutes at 4:45, the Youth Services Department, the second floor, the pocket park, and the computer labs will close. No more materials should be checked out after 4:55, and the public library will close at 5 p.m.
I'm sorry, Claudia, what did you say?
I look forward to part 2.
Oh, okay.
Are you gonna do a second part, or are you gonna do some others?
I am going to do some others, yes. Yes, I want to go to Terre Haute. Thanks for coming, Wendy and Dale. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thanks for being here.
Have you been to Fairview Cemetery in New Albany?
Fairview,
Yeah.
is that the one that's
It's
kind
really
of behind?
old, off of Culbertson.
I don't think I have.
You gotta go there. Here's some information about it.
Well, thank you, Wendy.
It's on Culberson Avenue, and the founders of New Albany, the Scribners, they're buried in the back of
Okay.
the cemetery, and they have a lot of old graves there. It's really good.
Thank
Really
you.
good. Nice cemetery. We go there and walk a lot.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you
very
very
nice.
much.
Old mausoleum and stuff like that. It's really
Cool.
good. The back part is very good.
I like cemetery.
Claudia knows about it.
Cool.
Question. You were saying that your skeleton was a Catholic's brother?
Yes.
I've never heard that. I've always heard Foster Brooks and Cactus.
I think, Dale, I think you're right.
The lovable lush.
Yes, I got Red Skelton and Forrest, what's his name, Foster Brooks,
Yeah.
mixed up. I'm sorry. Thanks for letting me know.
And then the other thing, you were talking about William Tell.
Yeah.
The king, when William Tell came, he had two arrows in his quiver.
Uh-huh.
And he said, "What's the second arrow for?" He says, "In case I miss the first time."
Oh,
this
to
one,
get
this one's
him.
for you.
Good for him. Thanks for
Okay.
coming, you guys.
What? I need to know what's the one in the sculpture in Bloomington is so futuristic, and you said it was by computer programming.
Oh, yeah, it's
And
called,
It's reacting to your body.
yeah, it's called Amatria.
Amatria.
Yeah,
Let's see if I can spell it.
I'll spell it for you. Amatria.
CIA. Amatria.
Well, let me look, if you don't mind.
You know where it is in Bloomington?
It's in what's called Luddy Hall. It's
Luddy,
Luddy,
L-U-D-Y?
L-U-D-D-Y.
L-U-D-D-Y.
Yeah, it's like on the northern.
L-U-D-D-Y Hall. in
Yeah, it's
Bloomington.
like on the northern
I guess
part
it,
of campus.
what is it? Oh, there it is. Okay.
Amatria.
Amatria.
Yeah, there's an I in there.
Yeah, Amatria.
Yeah.
Okay. And who did you say it was built by computer programmers or
Yeah.
internet?
Going in an architect. His name is Philip Beasley.
Ah.
Yeah.
You said something about computer programming.
Yeah. Well, it's in the computer. I think it's in the computer programming building.
Okay.
Yeah.
Computer programming. Programming building. Okay. That sounds like something my brother would love. He travels a lot too, but I don't see it too.
Yeah.
Is it really hot? Is that like, okay. It's a place where they study then, okay.
Yeah, it's like a building where they have classes.
Yeah, okay.
So it would only be open like during regular class
Yeah.
time, but
Well,
I
it could be
think
open in the summer maybe.
it might be more limited in the summer, but like during the fall and spring semesters when they have classes, that's like when it's best
Okay.
time. Yeah.
Thanks for all the info, I like it.
Good. Thanks for coming, you guys. Appreciate
Okay.
it.
That was very nice.
Well, thank you.